Howdy friends and welcome to my channel. Today I've got an exciting destination that you don't want to miss. We're headed to Ridgway State Park, located along the scenic Highway 550 that runs north and south, just west of the beautiful San Juan Mountains in central Colorado. It's about 312 miles west of Denver, 20 miles south of Montrose, and 14 miles north of Ouray, near the town of Ridgway. If you're new to camping in Colorado, and especially if you were interested in accessible camping, then I highly recommend this park because of the facilities and its proximity to some great local attractions. Ridgway has been voted as one of the top 10 RV parks in the United States. It's a great hub to stay while you relax or while you explore to the north and check out the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. If you head to the south, you run into historic mining towns of Ouray, Silverton, and Durango. There's a historic steam train that you can ride between Durango and Silverton. If you like to get dirty, there are four-wheelers for climbing over several passes. And if you want to get fancy, it's only a short drive to hobnob with the rich folks and Telluride. The park itself sits at 6,800 feet above sea level and has mountain streams and the Uncompahgre River that runs into it. The on-site lakes are full of rainbow, brook, and brown trout. The connection with nature is fantastic, as there are 11 miles of natural trails for bikes and hiking. 7 miles of these trails connect the north and south end of the park, including several long concrete trails for bikes and wheelchairs to explore. If accessibility is what you need, they have 2 accessible fishing piers, a Moby floating beach chair to float on in the lake, and even offer an adaptive paddleboard available at the Blue Heron Marina. If you're in a wheelchair and want to ride through the mountain trails, there are 2 track chairs available for use year-round. I've used one of these track chairs and it's a great way to get off the concrete and get into nature. Check out the website for the track chair calendar and reserve yourself a chair for your next visit. The park has approximately 300 campsites, everything from walk-in tent sites to RV sites with full hookups. Plenty of sites that have electrical outlets. Water is abundant throughout the park, although it is not at every campsite. We're going to start at the north end of the park at the Pa-Co-Chu-Puk Campground. If you look at the map, you can see the 2 loops, Loop F and G, and then H is the walk-in portion of the campground. Loop H does have an accessible walk-in tent campsite, and you can see where the bathrooms are located, as well as water. I've noted some of the accessible features with the orange arrows, which are mainly concrete paths throughout the park. There are accessible paths to 2 accessible fishing areas on the lake. In Loop F, I've highlighted campsite number 430 and campsite 280 in dark blue as the designated ADA campsites. And with a blue highlighter, I've highlighted all the other campsites I feel would be wheelchair accessible without any issues. Basically, in this campground, most every campsite is good to go, except for campsites number 238 and 240 on the G loop, which have steps or a pathway that goes downhill to the picnic tables, making them difficult to traverse. The first 2 campsites as we enter Loop F are site number 200 and 201. You can see they have nice asphalt roads and concrete pads for your picnic table, fire ring, and or barbecue. Flat surfaces are great for everyone. The only negative thing about this area is the noise level from the highway, which is very close by. I don't know if it's one of the newer areas, but it also lacks a lot of trees, so there's not a lot of shade, as you can see. Keep in mind, I did not take photos of every single campsite because they are all very similar. I have a campsite worksheet in the video description that will give you more details for shade and other features about a particular campsite. This campground is fantastic for accessibility, and if you go online to book your campsite, you will book through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Department at cpwshop.com, and unlike recreation.gov, there will be 1 or more pictures of each campsite to help you choose. As you go around the loop, starting about campsite number 226, you'll notice that some of the campsites do have picnic table covers built over them to give you some shade during the day. but a lot of them still don't have that. Just taking a look at Site 230, which is the ADA site, you can see that there's not a lot of difference between it and the other sites. As you can see, it's a little tree barren up here in this part of the loop. Let's take a closer look at the G loop. Here is Site 238 and 240, which I told you about, that has slopes or steps down to the picnic area. Not bad sites, just a little hard to navigate. Sites number 273, 274, 276, 78, and 80 all have a great view behind them, even though they might not have the best shade. You can see the river and the lake down below. Site 280 has a concrete trail that takes you down the hill to the fishing pond. Let's take the road back down and head up to Dutch Charlie Campground. Taking a look at the map of the Dutch Charlie Campground, you can see it's split into two sections, the Dakota Terraces and Elk Ridge Campground. Like my other map, I have denoted the designated ADA spots, number 46 in the Dakota Terraces, and the spots 105 and 107 in the Elk Ridge Campground. I have also noted Other campsites in the light blue that would be accessible. Most of the sites in the Dakota Terraces campground are accessible. The exception would be the campsites along the road, sites 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55, where there's a drop-off. You'll notice that the sites in the B loop are very similar to the A loop. Since the sites in the C loop are pretty much like A and B, I did not take a picture of every one of these campsites, but you can find them on the State Park Campground website where you go to make a reservation. Now let's head up to the Elk Ridge Campground and take a look at Loop D, and then we'll go to Loop E. Depending on the time of the year you come will determine what types of wildflowers are still out on the side of the road. They're quite spectacular throughout the state. You can see that our drive to Elk Ridge, we have gained quite a bit of elevation. There's Highway 550 down below us. The first site on your right coming into Elk Ridge Campground is site number 80, and what a view it has. One of the first things you notice up here in Elk Ridge is how much quieter it is because you're so much higher and further away from the highway. There are some beautiful sites, 82, 87, 89, 91, 92, 95, all along that outside area there that have beautiful views down to the lake below them. However, they have steps or slopes and are not accessible. Site 99 was one of my favorites. It was a nice big camping area with plenty of shade, and the neighbors weren't too close by. The first ADA site we come to is site number 105. You can see there's not much shade. The next site is 107. It's got a little bit more shade, and it has an elevated tent pad there. Site 113 has a little bit of a narrow drive and a steep drop-off on both sides, so I didn't add it to my accessible list. But it is quite pretty up in this area. Site 117 was one of my favorite campsites. It's quite large. It is on the road, but you don't have too many neighbors close by you. If you look closely, you can see the lake down below us. It's a very pretty drive up here. Loop E starts out okay, but pretty soon, beginning around campsite 123, all of the campsites on the right have slopes down to the picnic tables, which make them pretty much inaccessible. Some have steps, some have sloping concrete walkways. This continues on around the loop until you get to site number 164 or so. The sites on the inside or to your left are back ends, and there's some nice sites available there. Here's a good example of what I was talking about. On the left, you have steps up to the picnic pad. On the right, you have steps that go down. It's a very hilly area back in this part of the loop. Here's site 178. You can see the steps there. I'm not sure I want to be going up and down steps, even if I could walk. Well, neighbors, this concludes the campground review. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you picked out your favorite site and plan on going to Ridgway State Park. It's a great place to go. If you want to see other parks, be sure and hit like and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss a single episode. Until next time, so long.